day today. We are going to be talking about Loki and reviewing, my review and spoiler discussion here. I apologize about the delay here, running a few minutes late. I had this video scheduled, and then all of a sudden, I had it scheduled. I was a little bit late for that. Then I got down here. My phone was orientated wrong, but I hope you're all having a very good day today. Let's see. Who all do we have here in the chats here with us today? We've got my man, Reefer Man Reviews. Thank you so much for being here. Guys, if you are here, make sure that you give this video a thumbs up and let me know all of your thoughts down in the comments below about Loki. What did you think of episode 1 of Loki? What did you think about the show? Is it going to be the show to save the MCU? Is it going to bring it back? I also want to welcome you guys to this live on the road edition. Here I am in Parker, Colorado with this very beautiful backdrop behind me. Now, guys, if there is, you know what? I just realized something else was off as well. Let's see if we can get this thing working. Let's see if we can get this thing working too. There. Bam. All right. My microphone should be working good now. Reefer Man says Loki sucked. What's in the Hellfire Club? I don't know, man. What? We're not here talking about comics right now. We're here talking about Loki. So I'm gonna rewatch it. Maybe we'll hit better next time. All right, fair enough. Hey, if you didn't like it, that's perfectly okay. There's plenty of people out there that they're probably going to enjoy the show, and plenty that aren't going to enjoy the show. We see the same thing has been the case through these past couple of series, through WandaVision and even Falcon and Winter Soldier. A lot of people really just weren't into these. But even Kevin Feige himself has come out and said that this is going to be the series that is going to get everybody back on board with the MCU. Now, let me also know, guys, I am here live. You can see I'm outside. There's plenty of traffic behind me. You can probably see some of these cars passing by right back here. Let me know if the traffic is too loud for you, and we can move to a different location if we need to. I just thought this was a beautiful backdrop. But anyway, getting here into Loki, and guys, again, I want to say thank you so much for being here. Make sure that you do hit that like button if you're here. But first, let's start off on Loki. This show, it kind of starts off with a little montage from the Avengers films, as we see Loki there in the Battle of 2012, and then we see that he grabs the Tesseract like we've seen in Avengers Endgame, and it shoots him back to the Gobi Desert, and it looks like it's in the Gobi Desert at a different time period, which is a little weird. I mean, we could sit here and talk about the Tesseract being the space stone and how it allows you to travel through space. But one thing I've talked about quite a bit here on this channel is how, if you can travel through space like that, you're essentially bending space and time. So it's kind of the same thing here. So he arrives there, and then we see these time variance agents arrive through these little doors. And I think it's very interesting here, these little doors that they step through. It's something that we've actually seen previously in the MCU, and I'll talk a little bit more about that here towards the end. Very good stuff, and just very good stuff here. And then you see that they apprehend Loki with this staff that I can't remember the character's name. She hits him with this staff that makes him move in 1/16th time, and he's feeling all of that pain. And then you see that they leave this timeline, and they go and they reset this bomb. It's a reset bomb to reset the timeline. It's gonna manipulate everything and reset it to how it's supposed to be. This is something that's very, very interesting here that they revealed there with that. Now then we move on in through that. I think there was that when the credits rolled in? I can't remember. But we see, as soon as they get there, we see that they take Loki to the TVA, the Time Variance Authority, and as he gets there inside, we see that there's we meet a couple of characters aside from the Minutemen. We see him there in that lobby area, and he's told to grab a number, where we see another mouthy guy walking in talking about do you know who I am? Who my father is? He's some big guy, Goldman Sachs, blah, blah, blah. And he's sitting there being mouthy, just being kind of, I guess you would say flexing his privilege. I don't know. Am I allowed to say that? But we see him there. And then also something else that's very interesting there is that we see the scroll that is there in the office with him as well. Now, the very interesting thing about this scroll is, for one, there's a scroll there, but two, they actually say it's a variant scroll. Now, it's very interesting to say that they didn't say it was a variant like Loki. Loki has a name, right? Loki has a name, and they're calling him the variant, and they have these different things. And the thing is, scrolls have names, and they went through and called they called this species variant scroll. I thought that was a little weird. I wonder if there's something to that. I don't know. Maybe I'm probably looking too far into that. I mean, I know they were talking about his species, but then obviously we didn't get his name. So it's something very interesting there, thinking about this variant scroll and being out there in the world. And who is this variant scroll? What's he done? What's his significance? I honestly don't know, but I kind of feel like there's something there to that. Now, the other thing, as we notice, is that the Tesseract. They had the Tesseract there. We see that people there picking up the Tesseract in the TVA like it's nothing, where we've seen that other people have actually grabbed the Tesseract and it's done different things. We see what happened when Red Skull grabbed it, you know, at the end of Captain America, the first Avenger, he kind of grabbed it and he used it and harnessed the power of it. Now, that's not the first time that we've really seen people handling the Tesseract either with their bare hands. Heck, at the beginning of the show, we've seen Loki pick up the Tesseract and travel with his bare hands anyway. Just some very interesting stuff there, but we also see later how the Tesseract doesn't work there in the TVA as well as the other Infinity Stones. Just some very interesting stuff there. Now, the other thing that when he gets there through the TVA is he's sitting there kind of, you know, being cross-examined, talked, and he gets there into this one room after being stripped of his clothes, and they put his TVA jumpsuit on him, and it shoots him down into this other little room, and he's sitting there talking to the guy, and the guy's asking him about if he's robotic to his knowledge, and I thought that was very interesting. He's like, "Are you a robot to your knowledge?" And it was very interesting, Loki's answer, and how the guy took his answer and was like, "Oh, okay, well, thank you very much." Took his answer like, "How would I know?" And then he was getting ready to step through. Loki's like, "Oh, like, how do I know if I'm like, what if I'm a robot or not?" And he steps through and he's very scared. He's kind of like, he's hesitant. And he steps through and then he's sitting there, and he hears this other little sound. And it's actually, this is something very, very interesting. The guy pulls out like a little Polaroid and says that it is a photo of his temporal aura. Something very interesting here, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that as well. Now, the thing is then he gets into the waiting room where this is the part where he's asked to take the number, right? He's asked to take the number. And he's sitting there in the waiting room saying he's not supposed to be there. And that's when Miss Minutes comes on this little TV screen and talks about some very interesting stuff. She's talking about multiversal wars and the multiverse and how there was a war and all these different people, you know, just kind of everything that had happened before. So this is something that has happened before, this multiversal war. Now, I know there's been a lot of talk, and we'll talk a little bit more about this towards the end. There's been a lot of talk about secret wars possibly going off into this, the multiversal wars and things like that. She's talking about how the variants work. You're going about your normal flow, then something happens and you just do something different and it disrupts the normal flow of time. And at that point, you become a variant. Now, it's very interesting about that. We're talking about these robots, we're talking about these wars, Miss Minutes throughout this whole little thing here. And I think it's very interesting getting into that, because that means that this whole multiversal war that we know is going to be coming in the MCU, supposedly, and I'm not taking that with a big grain of salt. I'm pretty sure at this point we know Secret Wars is coming, according to that interview with Michael Waldron that we've seen Josh over at the Net of Nerds talking about the other day on his live stream, where, you know, just the body language said it all. Very, very interesting stuff. So we know the multiverse war has happened already, right? Now, this isn't anything that's a surprise, because the multiverse happening already, we know this has happened, and they went through and kind of fixed all that timeline. I think it's very interesting here too, because in the past, if you go back and you watch Thor the Dark World, and Thor the Dark World, remember Odin was on his quest. Didn't he have a gauntlet? And he had all those stones and everything that he was going after. And then he kind of started his own Infinity Watch, if you ask me, where he spread the stones out and everything like that. Very, very interesting stuff here going on with just these timelines and things like that. So this is all kind of stuff that's happened before. And if you look at it, you could kind of look at it as a loop, right? Or maybe an infinity loop. Very interesting. Also, let's see, there was She was also talking about the timekeepers and how the timekeepers created the TVA, created all of the people who work in the TVA, created all those things to keep the natural flow of time. Very interesting stuff there as well, because this is something else that Loki kind of brings up later about this organization that who regulates them? Who says that they dictate time according to who? Who says it's the right timeline, right? Very interesting stuff there, getting into some of that with the timekeepers and dictating the flow of time, because if you've got somebody, I don't care who they are, a god or whatnot, dictating those things, you've got somebody not letting natural process play out if people are doing these things naturally. And of course, it's going to end in destruction, but something very, just, I don't know, I found that very interesting there with the timekeepers. And then here's something else that happens, very interesting. We see that the timekeepers and Owen Wilson's character, Mobius, they end up going back to 1549 France. To 1549 France, where there is a variance running around. They're interviewing this little kid there in French. The kid points at the little, oh, I know, we got more Mephisto, right? We got more Mephisto coming up, because we see this kid point to that stained glass window that has a devil on it. Now, does this mean that, you know, we're talking about Mephisto here? I'm not gonna put that boner in your face. But very interesting stuff. Now, just because something is the devil doesn't necessarily mean that it's Mephisto, right? Like, you could call people evil all the time. People call them the devil and just all those little things all the time. So very interesting stuff there. And it's very interesting in that sense, because there's kind of something else, a little call to France a little bit later on, a little Easter egg. Now, the interesting thing is Loki ends up getting to court, to his little trial there, and they're kind of talking to him, asking him these different questions. And he's kind of cross-examining them too about the time flow, about how everything was going how it was supposed to, and he's the one who ended up messing time. And Loki actually says, like, hey, like, you need to, what about the Avengers? They messed up time because they came back and they were doing time travel and trying to stop me on my way to the crown. So he thought he was, you know, being ascendant and going to end up being the king of the world, or the king of Midgard, maybe the king of space. I don't know. That's a nice feather in his cap, right? Don't mock him. Anyway, it's very interesting there, and he's talking about the Avengers and how the Avengers traveled through time, and I can't remember her name as well. She's the kind of the judge there, the presiding judge, and she says, well, that was supposed to happen. So I think basically what's happening there is they had this time was going crazy, and maybe the Avengers actually, what they did, while they didn't mess anything up, maybe they actually kind of fixed what was going on, because they kind of figured out the whole time flow thing and everything like that, where they're going to replace the stones and all of those different kinds of things. Now, the interesting thing here when it comes to all that is something we're going to get a little bit more into, something we've seen earlier in the show with that thing where those bombs where they're resetting the timelines. Very interesting stuff. Then we get Owen Wilson, who steps in, and you know what? We got to give it up to Owen Wilson. Stepping into this role, man, he is the right person for this role. He steps in and talks to the judge, and I love it. He does all these Owen Wilson things, right? You know, he steps up to the judge, and she's talking to him. She's telling him all this stuff that he has a bad idea using Loki to go out there and try to track this killer down. And you gotta love Owen Wilson. He's like, I always look. What is it he says? I'm always looking up to you. What is it? He says, I'm always looking up to you, and it's appropriate. Oh man, like, just little things like that from Owen Wilson absolutely crack me up. His performance is hilarious, and just his timing and everything that he does really, really shines throughout this first episode. Him and Loki are just playing and bouncing off of each other like crazy. It is absolutely great, Owen Wilson's character in here. Now we see that he ends up saving his butt. They go through the little court there, you know, and he's taking him out. And Loki was saying, "Hey, I thought you said magic didn't work here." And he sees the realm of the TVA and just how beautiful and magnificent that it is. And that's when they have another little discussion, and Loki ends up mentioning, "Oh, it's a nightmare." And Owen Wilson says, "Oh, that's a different realm, but believe me, you can help me burn that to the ground as well." Which is very interesting also, considering this is going to bring up even more stuff revolving around obviously Nightmare, the character Nightmare, and even the devil or Mephisto here that we've seen referenced a little bit earlier. So I'm sure more of those kinds of rumors and things like that are going to be coming out. I'm sure I'm sure people are going to be sitting there like, oh, no, 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 no. You're not going to fool me with the Nightmare and the Mephisto stuff. Not anymore, Kevin Feige. No more boners. No more boners. But I think I really do like that how Owen Wilson, they dropped that in there, though. He said Nightmare is another realm. He said that's another realm. So we already know that that's going to be happening. The next thing is, again, I see plenty of people coming in here and interacting, chatting. Thank you all so much for being here. I see my man, Mike Porter. I seen ETEP. Thank you so much for being here, ETEP. Thanks for checking out the channel. Steven, thank you so much for being here. I also know I see my man Wayne White in here as well, Reefer Man Reviews. Everybody, thank you so much for being here. I'll get into the live chats here in just a minute. Let's see, the other thing is, Loki, when he's sitting there having this discussion, this whole nice little discussion with Owen Wilson, he's talking about his path and his set path, and how he's really only going out and doing what he was, what he's set to do. He's fulfilling his destiny. Nobody's gonna tell him that he is or isn't supposed to do things. He decides, not destiny, not fate, none of that stuff. And I think it's great there, this discussion that they have together, Owen Wilson and Loki, going through and having these discussions and just everything that they kind of did there together. Because it's funny because their interactions, but then he calls him a pussycat. He's like, "Oh, you're a pussycat," because like he's sitting there playing with him. Because and we even see kind of Loki break down a little bit later on about his spot in life, or where he's at this particular time with everything. How he is the weak one, the fake one that's trying to get and usurp this power and become this king. Very interesting stuff all throughout there, as Loki is kind of seeing some of the things that have happened in the past and some of the things coming in the future that hasn't happened. Remember, he's the variant. So very interesting stuff that he sees all these things that were gonna happen that he was a part of, that he himself wasn't a part of. He doesn't know what's going on there. Very interesting stuff there with all that. And then we see, I thought it was something very interesting where they were talking about Freya, and there was something that they mentioned about her dying again and again and again. And I thought that was very interesting, because what they're talking about is something that's happening. Loki, his mother, dying again and again and again. So it's like they're in a loop, or they're going back and seeing it over and over. Very interesting stuff. Again, more of this we'll get into a little bit later. And the other interesting thing, I think, coming out of this show was the time looper. They got that little time looper thing that's on the neck piece that they're using to help keep Loki kind of under keep him held prisoner, I guess here, if you will, with that little time looper. Very interesting, that necklace and that time looper, and we see that Loki ends up getting it off, and he figures out an interesting way to use it. But we also see that it doesn't just loop those little seconds like they're using there, where he was trying to attack Mobius, or just any of the other little things that he was trying to do and escaping. We see that it actually works in a way where he was sitting there messing with it, sending her back further in time, even to different places. Very interesting stuff here with all of this technology and all of this stuff going on there. Now, I think one of the things that's very interesting about that is that they're doing these little time resets, doing those loops. They have those bombs that they're setting off in those areas as well to kind of reset all the things that have happened. Now, the other thing that they mentioned was also about Loki's temporal aura. I think all of this stuff is very interesting, especially when it comes back to what happened in Doctor Strange, where we were told about manipulating time, rewinding time, temporal manipulations. Do you wanna rewind time, live in a loop, or having never existed at all? Something that Baron Mordo actually warned about when he was talking about Doctor Strange using that time stone, right? Very interesting stuff there with all of this stuff, resetting the times. We know that the time flow is something that's very sensitive, I guess. The other thing I thought was interesting too is when Loki kind of did his little escape, when he's trying to doing I don't know, I guess what you could say is a little reconnaissance as he was going out, and he opened up that agent that works there for the TVA, and that agent had that box that had all of these goodies in there, right? and it's got, they had different, he had like different like reality stones, mind stones, time stone. He had all of these different things. He had a gun in there, and this gun, it looked like, is that gun that was in that little thing, was that the ultimate nullifier? Was that the ultimate nullifier? Was that something else? Was that maybe that other, I don't know. I'm thinking that that little gun was the ultimate nullifier. Now, the other thing that they had, aside from that, was they have just all these other little things in there. They had like a little dagger in there, right? They had a little dagger, and they also had a medal for the French Medal of Honor as well, which I think is very interesting that we got the French Medal of Honor, and we've seen that they actually went back to 1549 France. So what we're talking about here is the French getting involved here in whatever's going on. I think they're going to be involved. They're going to France for what reasons? I mean, what reasons do they have to be in France? I mean, maybe you guys know a little bit better than I do some of the shenanigans and hijinks that Loki has been in through the comics. But I thought that was very interesting as well, where they had just all those different little things that were there in that box. And you can see that, you know, the guy said, you know, those time stones, those gems and everything, they're useless there. They're useless in the TVA. A lot of the technology, the magic, and some of those different kinds of things. Also, another interesting thing with that time looper was that Owen Wilson mentioned that it worked on Loki, not the chair. So it works on people, but not inanimate objects. Very interesting. Very interesting. Whole lot of interesting things going on in this show with a whole lot of stuff. Now, one of the things that I did want to kind of briefly touch on again before we get into before I get here into the live chat to see what you all are saying down there, is something very interesting here that happens in this show at the very beginning. Is we see they have these doors that the TVA are stepping through when they go out into these different times, these different realms and stuff like that. I think it's very interesting because at the very end in the credits, there's actually something that they showed there, that the stuff that the TVA was messing with, that actually refers back to Ant-Man and Wasp. And it was, if you go back and watch Ant-Man and Wasp, the part where they are talking, where they go to Professor, oh man, why all of a sudden did I forget his name? Goliath. You know his name. You know his name. Don't act like you don't know his name. Dr. Lawrence Fishburne's character. But when he was there lecturing his class, if you go back and watch that lecture on the class, read, zoom in and read as much as you can of that, and you'll notice some graphics on there as well, and you'll notice a man walking through a little door. Now, what he was talking about was stepping through time, these being in and out of phase with multiple realities is what he was talking about there. And this all had to do with Ghost and a lot of the stuff they were trying to do there with the Pym particle and everything that they found out later, right? They found they had these things. Now, in the background on there, he had these graphics, and one of those graphics was showing a little temporal door with a person stepping through it, and the way that it works in time and space and all of those different kinds of things. So if you go back and watch Ant-Man and Wasp and see that stuff, that what's going on behind his back there that he's got on the wall, they actually referenced everything that was going on there. These little doors that they're using, that the TVA is using, to that they use to step through time into these different eras and everything, these different timelines throughout the multiverse, is something that was actually shown and teased in the Ant-Man and the Wasp movie. You can go and check it out. Now, the interesting thing about that is they can go through and they can step through all these doors, through all these times. Essentially, to me, it seems like it's working a lot like a Tesseract. But it also seems to me like a, I don't know, I guess you could say it's very much just like the same contraption that the Tinkerer made in Spider-Man Homecoming. Remember, he was making that little doorway, he wanted to make the little thing. Now, he used all that using the technology of the Tesseract, where they built I can't remember what he called, the high altitude, whatever he called it, that was supposed to create that little doorway through them that they used so they could get into the semi-trucks that they used later to, I think, didn't Spider-Man use it later when he was getting onto the airplane and everything? Those same little things, I believe it's the same kind of technology. It's just creating a door for you to step through. The only thing is the Tinkerer didn't have that, he didn't have the technology up to the point where he could do something like that. We're stepping through this door into another reality. But I believe it's kind of like the same exact thing here. And what we're talking about, and I've talked about this before, is I believe that all the Infinity Stones can all mimic each other's separate powers and just different things like that. And I kind of think that's what we see going on here through some of these different little things. But I think that's all I've got for now. Just giving Loki a couple of watch throughs really quick. Let me know all your thoughts down in the comments below. I'll go ahead and get into these. But overall, I thought this episode 1 was really good. It really does seem like they set up so much stuff. I think the front half of this show, of this first episode, was loaded with so much information that a lot of people probably are not going to catch everything that happens in there, because there was just so much stuff they mentioned, like the multiversal wars, and we got this and we got that, and like I said, even those little bombs that are resetting the temporal manipulations that are happening, because you know that bomb, when they went and set that thing off, what it made those people forget that they ever saw Loki. It made them forget everything that Loki did right there in that time at the very beginning of the show. So very interesting, especially considering that the TVA is there to do those things. Why do they need to mess with him? Why can't they go and fix and do this in other timelines? Again, this comes down to something I've been noticing, like even with the Department of Truth, the comic book on Image Comics, written by James Tynion IV, is the Department of Truth. They kind of get to dictate what does and doesn't become truth. Or by way of rumors and things like that. And I feel like the TVA is that same kind of thing. Like they are this organization, maybe they weren't in the comic books, but set up by probably by somebody else with nefarious things in mind here. I'm wondering if Owen Wilson's character is actually the bad guy here. It'd be interesting. Plus, when I see big names coming into these shows, I always think, hey, it's chances are they're a bad guy. But we've got Owen Wilson here. But it's very interesting too. They want to dictate time. And if you know anything about Immortus is he's the ruler of Limbo, where things never change. Now, one of the things he does not like is he doesn't want time to change. Right, he doesn't like, and I'll have to go back and read up on some of that. And I've got some of the Avengers books with me to reread the original Avengers run, where you can go through and see. That's one of the things he said, that he was a ruler of Limbo, where things never change, and he don't want them to change. So it makes me think that maybe the Time Variance Authority is maybe something to do with Kang, and maybe he helped create it. Now, there was also, I know somebody else, heard somebody else mention this too, that you noticed one of the timekeepers, the one that was in the middle when they were showing that little cartoon sequence, looked a lot like Kang. But I digress. Very interesting here. I don't think I think maybe it's very interesting because the timekeepers created the Time Variance Authority and all the people who work in it. That's something very specific they said. They said they created the Time Variance Authority and all the people who work in it. So I'm thinking that the people who work in the Time Variance Authority were actually created beings. They weren't actually born of, just like you or me, or how most other beings are born. But anyway, that's just if you ask me. Let me know all your thoughts down in the comments below. I thought episode 1 was very, very great. I cannot wait for episode 2 to drop next week. But let's get in here into the live chat. See if I can, I'm going to have to move here into the shade just a little bit more so I can see what you guys are saying here. All right, Doc, all right, Mike Porter, got to talk to the doctor. He's not the Sorcerer Supreme, huh? All right, man. Good luck, man. Good luck. Good luck on your doctor's appointment. I hope you're doing well, Mike Porter. Okay. We're gonna watch. Maybe it will hit better next time. Yeah, I hear you. And sometimes, it takes watching things a couple times for you to really kind of maybe get into it. Lucas Tex Venture, thank you so much for being here. Says he thought it was dope. Yeah, all right. Oh, okay, my sound's looking good. Looks good, sounds fine. You're loud and clear. All right. Let's see what else. Aggressively relaxing, my man says everything is in canon in a multiverse. Essentially, you could say so. Yeah, absolutely. Steven Seifert, I probably butchered that. I apologize. Says, I love the guy asking if he's a robot. Absolutely, and that brings me back to something else. Some rumors that were going around as well about a lot of the stuff that has happened in the MCU. I can't remember. Josh over at the Den of Nerds was talking about it one day, and I was like, interesting. That would be very, very interesting. I feel like I'm always looking up to you. Yeah, hilarious stuff. Again, thank you for being here, Steven. And again, ETEP, thank you so much for being here as well. Lucas says Wilson is great in his role. Absolutely. Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you can't deny Owen Wilson, dude. He's just so great. He said, want to drop by, show some love before I go to work. All right, man. I hear you. Yeah, that 4-letter word, man, it gets us every time. An interaction I would have loved. Loki, I am burdened with. Yeah. Wait, which interaction? Moby. Oh yeah. I am burdened with glorious purpose. Wow. Yeah. And we'll probably get that at some point. But he did do the whoa thing, didn't he? Didn't go whoa. I think he did the whoa thing, which is really more of a Keanu thing. But hey, he makes it his own too. Let's see. Vagabond Ninja, thank you so much for being here. Dropping. Ooh, Myrtle. But yeah, guys, don't forget, man. If you are here, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, and make sure that you're interacting here in the live chats, because as you are here, the longer you're here, the more you interact, you acquire Myrtle Bit. Myrtle Bit is going to get you entered into some of the giveaways that we are going to be doing here on the channel. It's not just for channel members only. Channel members, they get their own giveaways they're being entered into. So yeah, do that. Come on, get your Myrtle Bit, because everybody wants a little bit of Myrtle. Obi-Wan the homie says digging on the on-site live chat. Thank you so much. You know what? I actually decided to do this out here instead of up in the hotel room, because I remember last year, my man Adam over at Fanjecture, and by the way, I missed the show last night, Adam. I was there for a few minutes listening in, but I missed the show. I missed the Nicolas Cage show. By the way, guys, next week I'll be on there discussing Kevin Smith films on Fanjecture. But yeah, that's one of the things, like being outside and everything. I would do more stuff outside where I live at like this, but where I live at, my cell service is the worst. And even if I go outside my house, my the Wi-Fi is not working that good. So otherwise, I would, believe me, I would do it. I would do it a little bit more. But yeah, thanks, man. Let's see, and thank you so much for being here, Obi-Wan the homie. Appreciate it. Okay. E-Tep says I haven't seen I haven't seen Loki episode 1 yet, but I was on the fence with it to begin with after WandaVision and Falcon Winter Soldier ended. I was almost checked out, but I'll watch the episode and give it a shot. Yeah, I like WandaVision. I thought the show was okay. I thought Falcon Winter Soldier was okay. Both of these shows were okay. They're not great. They're good in a sense. They're good. They're not terrible, but they don't really add they didn't really add a whole lot. I don't feel they really added a whole lot to what was going on in our universes. Now, I do think some of those things that were happening there are going to be built upon. I do definitely think that. I think these shows were meant to be that. These things to introduce things, to launch off into future series and even into the movies, to introduce things, so they don't have to do all those origin story movies. But I get you, man. I get you. A lot of people feel the same way about that too. Didn't really like WandaVision, didn't really like Falcon and Winter Soldier. Obviously, WandaVision was way more fun and entertaining, if you ask me. But yeah, Loki was definitely worth checking out. The Infinity Stone drawer, though, yeah, right? Yeah. The way the TVA reset the timeline reminds me of Hickman's Avengers Illuminati stuff about the incursions and their way of handling it. Absolutely, Wayne. I don't know. I haven't read those runs that you're talking about. I'll take your word for it, but that's kind of like I'm thinking like. There's a lot that goes into that. I'm only here for the clickbait, says Vagabond Ninja. Nice. Well, thank you so much for being here anyway. I'm at the doctor's office now, waiting to see the doctor. Follow up. All right, no problem, man. No problem. Good luck with your visit. Let's see. Yeah. Good call, Reefer Man. Yeah, best of luck, Mike. Absolutely. Will Morgan, my man, is in the building, guys. I'm here, like I said, I'm here in Parker, Colorado right now, but flew into Denver yesterday. Believe me, it was a trip from hell. Don't even want to get into it. But my man Will Morgan from Meta Egg, he actually picked me and my kids up from the airport because my wife, it was a whole mess up. I'm telling you, it was messed up before we left LAX. So my wife got on a flight that was delayed, and then my sister and my mother, they were driving down here from Seattle, and they hit a bunch of construction. They were really slowed up on their way out here the whole time. This was crazy. So they were late getting there, and I was like, man. But I was already talking with Will anyway, like, hey man, when I get to Denver, we need to hang out, you know, at least chill for a little while. And then this fool, like, I called him, I landed, I was like, damn, dude, I need some help. And he came, dude, the dude came and saved us from setting in the airport for like an extra 2 hours. So shout outs to Will Morgan and the Meta Egg. Make sure you go check out his channel, man. Good stuff. Very good stuff. Let's see, where are we at here? All right. We got Mike Porter says, Trinity, are you in the Walmart parking lot? Remember, use the right door. No, but we do have Costco right back here. Costco is right over there. Costco, that's Costco right there. Mike Porter, my man. Cracking me up, dude. Mike Porter knows me all too well. Use the right door. Oh, man. Black Angus, what is up, my man? What is up? If I had to guess, I would say that Loki is initially going to be against the Loki that they are after, who is probably the Lady Loki before joining her to stop the TVA. That very well could be. It could be the Lady Loki. And, you know, I was kind of wondering, too. I mean, who's to say it's not a Skrull Loki? What is that? It's a Tesseract. Be very careful with it. Sounds dumb. Yeah. I like that scene, too, with the fish. He's like, oh, what did he say? I'll turn you into the fish or I'll beat you to death with a fish. He's like, what's a fish? What's a fish? Yeah, that's great. Great stuff there with that guy. I wonder if he could rewind himself back to 2012 New York. Very interesting. Yeah, I wonder that myself too. Like I said, the whole time thing is, and I feel like I know everybody's like, oh, they're gonna use time travel as this excuse for everything, and time travel's the worst, and multiverse is the worst. I think part of that, I think that's somewhat what they're doing too, is establishing the fact that they can change it and stop it from happening. So hopefully that'll be all out the door here pretty soon. I think. Well, the time looper probably works on whatever it's on. It was on Loki. It wasn't on the chair. Yeah, it could be, but I think he specifically said that it wouldn't work on the chair at all. So, I mean, it makes me wonder. I don't know. I'm sure we'll learn more about that here in the days to come for sure. What does Will Morgan think of Loki? Yeah, absolutely. Haven't finished the first episode. What? Ashley from The Widow, thank you so much for being here. I hope you're doing well. Bagamon Ninja says, the ultimate nullifier in the hands of a human? Yeah. Travis Adams, thank you so much for being here. Let's see, first things first, they're throwing way more money at Loki. Yeah, I don't know. I mean because he went and got a bunch of money as DB Cooper. Before the doctor comes in, let me spam the chat. Oh man, you funny. Awesome rundown, my brother. All right, thanks. Thank you, Obi-Wan the homie. I appreciate that, aka Beskar Batman. Talk to y'all later. I'll talk to the doctor, and no, she's not the Sorcerer Supreme. She might be the Sorcerer Supreme more so than the Doctor Strange is right now in the MCU. Wookie. You actually had it right in the first try. Sofert. Okay, Sofert. Okay. All right. Good deal. Thank you. Sofert. All right. Tom and Owen are killing the dialogue. Yeah, and a lot of that too is like, you know, one of the things they really have to work on. They had it with Catherine Hahn as well in WandaVision. Is they've got Owen Wilson's dynamite comedic timing. A lot of those timings and everything, how they do stuff, freaking phenomenal. This is stuff that Owen Wilson is a genius at. Damaj and I, my brother, what is up, man? I hope all is going well with you. Man, I even missed the Dark Council the other day. I missed a lot of shows here since the beginning of the week. Just been busy with a lot of stuff, getting ready to come here to Colorado for a few days for my grandma's funeral and everything. Superman says, Red Hickman's Avenger. Dang it, the entire saga. All right, I'll read it. I said red, but read. Okay. Speaking of Illuminati, that Denver airport is freaky. No. Yeah, I've been in it before, but yeah, it's different, man. It's definitely different. And it is funny because they mentioned that that was in the latest episode or in the latest issue as well. I'll get you like a fish is the line that came from. Okay, yeah. First Scream movie. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh yeah, he did. Parker, yo. What is up, Parker? How are you doing? Hey, speaking of which, Parker, I'm here in Parker, Colorado, getting ready to go visit. The Mountain Man Nut and Fruit Company warehouse today. Even the way Loki says "I'll get you like a fish" is almost exactly like the killer in Scream when he says it in that. Yeah. Now that you mention it, I realize what you're saying there. Metaphorical, what is up? How are you doing, my brother? I hope all is going well with you, man. Hope all is well. Let's see. Condolences to the family and thoughts and prayers. Thank you. I appreciate that, guys. I appreciate that. It was my grandma. Yeah, she had she went into the hospital a couple of weeks ago, had some issues, and she was in her 80s. I believe she was 82. And we get older, and she was a smoker and all that stuff. It's just part of life. It's hard to deal with. I know, it's all good right now. I know when it's going to be hard for me is it's going to be tomorrow when we're actually there for the funeral and everything, and seeing everybody. But other than that, and one of the real reasons I want to come out is because my kids, we don't live. Obviously, we live in California. We're here in Colorado. Grew up near here. In Kansas, and always came out here for vacations and everything. So all my family is here. A lot of my family is here, and unfortunately we don't visit as much as we can. But we've visited a few times, and my kids have kind of gotten to know my grandma, so their great grandma, and so I was like, I definitely want them to be there because one of the biggest funerals I remember as a kid going to. I wasn't even a kid going to that had the biggest impact on me was my grandpa's funeral, my grandma's husband, and none of it really hit me, and none of it really seemed real until I seen my uncle Bill, who as a kid, he was one of my role models. I looked up to this man. He was the freaking man. And at my grandpa's funeral, seeing him there breaking down, he was crying. I'd never seen my Uncle Bill cry before. Not saying that he never cried before and that he's too macho to cry, but I never seen that before, And as a youngster, I was a teenager. I seen this man that I grew up loving, looking up to. He was crushed, was absolutely fucking crushed, and he was just tears, like I said, it was my grandpa. I was sad, but I didn't realize it was that moment right there that brought the full weight of it to me. And I'd been to funerals before, right? And that's one of the reasons I really wanted to make sure that we made it out here for this as well, so my kids could go see their grandmother and maybe just kind of see everything else as well. They're getting to the age where they kind of know and they understand these things. My son, he's younger, so he's still kind of where he don't. Even I think my oldest is definitely there though, and my middle child, she's almost there. She gets the impact, but she just don't know. Yeah, you get it. But thank you guys, thank you. I appreciate it. Just buried my grandma this week as well. Oh man, yeah, that's sad, man. It's sad. It sucks, and yeah, it is. It's circle of life. That's just how it happens. We know it's going to happen, and it sucks. One of the things I always say is death, it's a natural part of life, man. It's a natural part of life. Even when it happens in unnatural ways, that doesn't mean that you're ever going to be ready for it. That doesn't mean that it's easy or things like that. I've certainly got ways that I have learned to cope with some of these things. And so, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I've been sad. It's been, not even a roller coaster of emotions these past couple of weeks, but I've definitely been emotional in certain sense, just not like my usual self, how I would normally be, right? Your comic fam is with you, man. Thank you, Metaphorical. I appreciate that. Can we talk about how Mephisto is going to be in Loki? Yes. Yeah. So is the multiversal war some sort of version of Secret Wars? Well, Parker, dang it. I would say that, look, I was talking before about how Odin, before we seen in Ragnarok, he had a gauntlet. He was going after the stones. I believe it's happened before. I believe the multiversal war has happened before. And also the mere fact that if you look at the TVA, their little stamp that they use, it looks like a hourglass that's in an infinity loop. And if you think about it, the infinity loop, they're just going back and forth. This whole thing is going to go back and forth. Just like Banner said in Age of Ultron, I feel like I'm stuck in a loop. It's the same thing. These things repeat themselves. History repeats itself. I think that's what's going on here with that. I think that's what's going on on there with that for sure. But I do think there was another version of it for sure. And for all we know, that version that happened before might be the version that we're gonna see. The version that happened before that they were talking about in the TVA might be the version that we're gonna see. Because, I mean, if you think about it, that's almost the only thing it really could be, is what we've already seen, what's already happened before, right? But I don't know. I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong. Always wanted to go to Colorado. It looks beautiful. And even before they legalized, we there wanted to visit. Yeah, it is nice here, man. Like I said, I grew up almost every summer of my life here in the mountains, hanging out and everything. Obi-Wan says, real talk, Trinity. Appreciate you sharing. Family perspectives are important. Yeah, absolutely, they are. Like I said, that's one of the biggest reasons I want to make sure that my daughters are there, and my son as well. Hickman's Secret War is about a similar but different war. All right. And I've got both. I bought both Secret Wars, the original, and the Hickman Secret Wars to read up on. I know Marvel fans don't like to think a whole lot about lizard people. I know Marvel fans don't like to think a whole lot of, but the lizard people make everything stupid. Yeah, time cops are dumb. Oh man, I agree. Wokey, yeah, Wokey. Oh man, I knew there was something, man. Fucking Wokey lives matter. I knew there was something. It's not Wookie, that's Wokey. Wokey lives matter. Oh man. That's where Burke said the battle world will result in the creation of the TVA. Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of what I'm thinking. Like I said, it's stuck in a loop. Like, if it's happened before. I was born a mountain man, but I'm a man without a mountain. Yes. But anyway, guys, I'm going to go ahead and call it a stream there. Thank you guys so much for being here today. Again, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up. You can give it a thumbs down too. It's all good. But make sure while you're here that you check out, enter into the chat, !Myrtlebit, all one word, and check your Myrtlebit, because for being here, just hanging out in the live streams, being subscribed to the channel, you get entered into our giveaways that we are doing here on the channel. Now, the only other real stipulation to that is that you do have to be a resident of the United States in order to win some of these things, these physical copies of stuff. Is it's a digital something? I can send out a digital copy of something. But all the physical things, giveaways that we'll be doing, you do have to be a resident of the United States to win, just mail rates and stuff like that. But to get entered into those is by way of Myrtlebit. The only way you get a Myrtlebit is by being here in the live streams and interacting in the live chat. It's the only way to get it. It's the only way to get entered into those giveaways. But then Trinity better be. Oh man. But again, thank you all so much for being here today. I do greatly appreciate all of you guys' support. I thank you for being here, watching this video, interacting with me in the live chats. You guys kind of help keep these shows going and stuff like that. Keep them fun and interesting. But thank you all so much for being here today. You all have a good day, and we'll see you in the next. There we go. We'll see you in the next video. Later.